Once again, we are welcome to this module, MySQL. In the MySQL module, we'll be starting from the basic SQL queries, like the select query, the where, from, order by, group by queries, limits, and the rest of that. Then from there, we'll proceed to creating tables, joins, um, filtering selecting distinct data from the table. Then we'll also look at some advanced queries like functions, subqueries, um, case, and we'll also look at how to create users, how to grant users privileges, and the rest of that. So without further ado, we'll get started by signing into my SQL database. Now I'm signed into the database. On the left side of the screen, we have the databases available here. We have the list of databases. And up here, we have the menu from where we will be looking at how we can tweak the database. There are some things we can do with the menu that will help us instead of writing queries. We can just click on a menu and get what we want to do. We'll get it done. Because there are times we may not really remember how to write a query or what we really need to write. We can also do the things we want to do by using any of the options on the menu. So what we'll be starting with here is creating a database. How do we create a database? How do we import a table into the database? Then in the course of time, we'll look at how to create a table itself from scratch. So let's start by creating a database with a simple create statement. With this create statement, I've been able to create my database. Ordinarily, the database is supposed to appear on this side of the screen where I have the list of databases, but it still hasn't come up. So perhaps we have to refresh the database to enable us view the new database we just created. So I'm going to click on the refresh button up here. And on doing so, we'll notice that the database has been added to the list. Under the database, by clicking on the drop-down arrow, we'll see some other sub-segments like the tables, views, stored procedures, and functions. We don't have any of these items ready under the My Data database, but when we import or create a table, we'll see the list of our tables under this option. And in the course of this program, we would also create views, we'll create stored procedures and functions. So let us start by importing a table into the My Data database. So to do that, I have to right click on this option, tables. I'll select the table data import wizard. Then I'll browse for the table I intend to import into the database. Now I have imported the products table into my database, but it is still not reflecting here, similar to what happened when we created the database. So all we simply have to do again is to refresh the database. And now we have a drop-down arrow by the tables where we can view the table we just imported. So we will start, like I said, from the basic statements like the select statement, from, and where. So I'll be selecting the table to see the contents. So there's an error in the query. Okay, before we can select the table, we have to log into one of the databases with the use statement. Whenever we write an SQL query and the query comes with an error, we can come down here to read the error message, which will direct us to what the problem is or where the problem can be found and resolved. So from the statement down here, I discovered that I did not use this statement on line 1, which is necessary before I can access any of my tables. So I'm going to execute that statement, then go back to select my table. Yes, so down here I have the products table with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's the product table with 9 columns and about 500 rows. Okay, one of the things I may be willing to do on this table is to know the structure of the table using the describe statements. So I'm going to type describe products. So this is the structure of my table. I have the fields here, the data type, the one of the keys on the table. And this is another column where we can identify if a column is a foreign key or not. If there was if there was a primary key column on this table, it will be reflected here. The default values we set and the extras. So presently we are only going to look at these 2 columns here, which is the list of the fields on our table and the data types. So the country table, we have text, products, we have text, units sold, integer, that is numbers. The dates field is supposed to be a date data type, not text, so we'll be correcting that shortly. The month number, integer, and the month text, year text. So to correct this date field, we can simply go to the table, click on the icon here where my mouse pointer is. Here we have the list of the fields and the data type. So I'm going to click here on the drop down to select dates. So after doing that, I'm going to apply the changes I've made to the table. So one good thing about my SQL is that it shows me the query I would have written if in case I wanted to write a query to effect the change I'm making on that data type. I would have used the alter table statements, change column, dates to date, and the new data type I expect it to come with. Okay, so I'm going to click on the apply button, and the query has been executed. Now I'm going back to the first tab. If I execute this again, we'll notice that the dates column has been changed to a dates data type. All right, so let's proceed with our select statement, the simple select statements, and from and the where clause. So if, for example, we want to select countries, all the products or all the records for a particular country, we are going to use a where clause. The where clause is used to filter records from our table. It is used to filter records from a table. So the where clause is not only used with the select statements, it can also be used with the update and delete statements. If, for example, you want to update a particular record in your table, you can use the where clause to specify the record you want to update. If you don't put the where clause in an update statement or in a delete statement, for the update statement, the entire column or the entire records on the table will be updated. And for a delete statement, if you don't use a where clause on a delete statement, that means an entire column on a table can't be deleted. So we need to pay attention to that using the where clause in our delete, update, or select statements when necessary. So like I said, I want to select records for, when I say records, I mean the entire columns here, the product, unit sold, price, cost, date, month number, month, year for Canada. All the records that has to do with Canada, I want to view them. So I will use a select statement with a where clause. All right, so down here, I have records for Canada only. The other countries has been filtered out. So the where clause can be used in this instance. You can also use it with the with some arithmetic operators or some logical operators. For example, I want to select records for units sold greater than let's say 5,000. In that case, I'll write a select statement. All right, perhaps we don't have any units sold up to 5,000. Let's reduce that figure to, let's say, 3,000. Okay, so I have units sold greater than 3,000 here. We can also use the where clause with the and operator. For example, I can say select asterisk from products where units sold is greater than 3,000 and country is equal to Canada. So these are the units sold in Canada that is greater than 3,000. We can also use the between operator, the or operator, and the rest of them with the where clause. Okay, so next we'll be quickly looking at the and or and not operators. We'll look at the and or and not operators. So already we have looked at the and operator here. Let's look at the or operator. So in that case, I can just change this text and to or. Here, I'll be getting records of products where units sold is greater than 3,000, or where country equals Canada. So if I execute this, I have all the records where the unit sold is greater than 3,000. Also, where country is Canada. So for Canada, the record sold or the unit sold can be less than 3,000. As long as the country is Canada, it will also be reflecting on the table or in the results of the query. And in as much as the unit sold is greater than 3,000, we'll also have those records on our table. So that is the OR operator. Now let us look at the NOT operator. So in this case, I'm going to say select asterisk from products where unit sold is greater than 3,000 and country not Canada. Okay, that statement is wrong. Let's quickly correct that. So we have to correct this error here on line 14. I can see the warning sign. So we say select asterisk from products where unit sold is greater than 3,000 and not country equal Canada. Okay. So with these statements now, the country Canada will be exempted from the result because we use the not statement here, which means that Canada should not be included in the output. Let's execute this. All right, so if you look at the list of countries we have here, you will discover that Canada is not included. We have units sold greater than 3,000, including other countries, except Canada. So we have looked at the AND operator, the OR operator, the NOT operator. All right, so let's look at the order by operator. The order by clause is used to sort our result sets in ascending or descending order. The order by clause is used to sort our result sets in ascending or descending order. So if, for example, I want to sort my result sets in ascending order by countries, I will use the order by clause by saying select asterisk from our table name, order by country. Now, after my order by clause here, I did not specify whether the table should be sorted in ascending or descending order. If you do not specify the order in which you want the table to be sorted, the table will automatically be sorted in ascending order. That is, if I don't specify whether it should be sorted in ascending or descending, the table will be sorted in ascending order. Otherwise, I have to specify that I want the table to be sorted in descending order. So with this now, I have the table sorted in descending order by country. I can also decide to sort it in ascending or descending order by any of the other columns I have on the table, like unit sold, price, and the rest of that. So let's change this to price. And we have the table sorted in descending order by the price column. So that is the order by statement. Well, next, we'll look at the group by statement. The group by statement groups rows that have the same values into summary rows. So the group by statement basically works with aggregate functions like the count, maximum, sum, minimum, average, and the rest of them. So you must have an aggregate function in the statement for your group by function to work. For example, we want to know the total units sold in each of these countries. I think we have just 5 countries on the table, thereabouts. We have 5 countries and over 500 rows. Now I want to aggregate the units sold such that I'll know the total units sold from each of the countries we have on the table. So with that, we are going to use the group by statement. Or let me say, okay, then sum of units sold. Okay. So let's execute this. Okay, there is an error in the statement. So apparently we cannot use the asterisk here. That we cannot select all the columns on the table because some of the columns on the table cannot be aggregated. That is what I noticed from the um, warning we have there. For example, on the table, I think we have a product column. Yes, the product column cannot be aggregated. For example, the date column cannot be aggregated. The month column cannot be aggregated. So because of that, the database had to return this error message. So what we are going to do, we are only going to select the country and units sold for the group by statement. So I'm going to remove the asterisks and put the country and sum of units sold. So let's try this out again. All right, so we have the country and the total units sold in each country given to us. So like I said, the group by statement groups rows that have some values into summary rows. If we want to know the count of units sold, instead of using a sum here, we can use a count and execute. So we have the count of units sold for each country, which is 105. We can also take the average. So the average units sold is what we have up there. We can check the minimum, maximum, and the rest of them. So that's the group by clause. This is the minimum units sold for each of these countries. Next, we'll be looking at the having clause. The having clause is used in place of a where clause in the group by statement. For example, we want the total units sold from the products table. Now, if, for example, we want only countries with total units sold greater than, let's say, 180,000, I think we have something around 199,000 here. But we want countries with total units sold greater than a certain figure. So we can use the having statements to achieve that. So the having statement is just like the where statement in the group by statement. So having sum Sum of units sold greater than 180. Okay. So in this case, we have just three countries having sum of units sold greater than 180,000. So that is the having clause used with the group by statement. So in place of the where keyword, we use the having statement. The having statement was added to SQL because the where keyword cannot be used with aggregate functions. When you are checking the sum, to aggregate the sum, the average, the maximum, minimum, and the rest of that, using the group by statement, a where statement cannot come in here. So we use the having statement in place of a where statement. The next clause or statement we'll be looking at is the update statement. The update statement is used to modify existing records in a table. For example, on our product table, we have the cost of binder. That's the product binder. The cost is set at let's say $2. If, for example, we want to update the cost from $2 to $3, we would have to use the update statement. So let's see how that is done. So we'll say update, then the table name. Set cost equals 3, where products equals where product equals binder. All right, so I'm going to execute this. Let's go back to our table and see what we have. So now we have the cost of binder updated to 3 from what it used to be, which was 2. So the update statement is used to update or to modify the existing records in a table. If, for example, we want to change the name Canada to another name, or you want to change the name India, you can use the update statements to do that. Next, we look at the delete statement. The delete statement is used to delete or remove records in a table. And it is quite important that when you are deleting records from a table, you use a where clause to specify or to filter the particular records you want to delete. If you use a delete statement or an update statement uh, without using a where clause, that means the entire column on that table, the entire records in a column in the table you are trying to delete or update will be wiped off. So the where clause directs the statements, that's the delete or the update statements, to the particular record you want to work on, not the entire table. So let's open another table, the employee data table, where we'll be using our delete statement. So I just imported the employee data table the same way I imported the products table. So I'll select star from employee data. Yeah, so I imported the table employee instead. We'll be using that to look at how to put our delete statement to use. So that's the employee table. If, for example, we want to delete the employee with the first name as Oyedeji Perkins and employee ID as 1047, we have to delete that record from our table. We use the delete statement. So we'll say delete from employee. Where employee ID equals 1047. So with this statement, we'll be deleting the first record here. Now, if I did not put a where clause in this statement, if I had terminated it here, delete from employee, all the records in this employee table will be deleted. So please, let's take note of that. Whenever we are writing a delete statement, we should use a where clause to filter the records that should be deleted. And the where clause here can be used with the and, the or, between operators and the rest of them. If I want to delete records between a certain range, maybe from 1020 to 1050, so I'm going to use a between operator here. So I'm going to say where MID, instead of using the equal sign, I'll use the between operator between 1047 and let's say 1060. So I can use a between operator. I can use the in operator to select random employee IDs. So in this case, I will say where employee ID in, so I'm going to list the numbers here, 1047, 1060, 1055, let's say 1022, 1032, then close the bracket. So with this employees with these IDs will be deleted from the table. So like I said, you can use you can combine the operators in different ways. In this case, I will just delete one employee. So I'll say where employee ID equals 1047. And that is the first person we have on this list. So I'm going to execute this. Let's go back and select the employee table. And we notice that the first name that was here with the ID 1047 has been deleted. So let me see if I can roll back that statement to undo what I just did. All right, so the name has been rolled back. The delete statement has been rolled back. So rollback is just to undo what we do or what we did, while a commit statement is to save the changes permanently. And the rollback only works until the last commit statement. If, for example, I make a commit statement at this point instead of a rollback statement, and I go into the table to delete, to update, to insert records, and after doing the delete, update, and insert, I decide to not to do those things again, I can use a rollback statement, and the rollback statement will undo all those things up to the last commit statement. So once I make a commit statement here, the changes are saved permanently until I make another commit statement. So that is a commit and rollback. We can also use all the clauses or statements we have been looking at. We can use them with dates. That's the date column on our table. For example, we want to select records within a certain date with the between operator. Bearing in mind that the between operator selects values within a given range. The values can be numbers, text, or dates. So let's quickly look at how we can use the between operator to select dates. So in this case, let's assume we want to select employees whose hire date is between the 1st of January 2016 and let's say 1st of January 2018. So I'm going to use my select statement, asterisk from employee, where hire date Now, we also need to note that in SQL, the date starts with the year. That is, we have the year first, the month, then the day. So if the date is not in that format, the database might not recognize the records as a date, as dates. So we need to pay attention to that the dates start with the year, the month, and the day. So I said I want dates between 1st January 2016. So I'm going to start with the year. And 2018, January 1. So let's execute this. Okay, so in the date column, you notice I have records for 2016, I have for 2017 and 2018 only. So all the records outside these dates has been filtered out. Now let's change the 2018 to 2017. Yes, so we have records for just 2016 and 2017. So we can also use other queries with the dates column. We can use the not between query, that is selecting other records except records that falls within this date we have here. So in that we have higher dates outside 2016 and 2017. We can also use the in operator. In this case, we have to list some dates. So we can see where higher dates in, we will have to remove the colons or the quotation marks rather. Oh, sorry, the quotations have to be there. But we have to list the dates in the brackets. Yes, so it will work like this, although I don't think we have this particular date on our records, but you can list the dates for which you want to view the records in a bracket using the in operator. So the in operator allows you to specify multiple values in a where clause. You can list multiple values after a where clause. So that is how the in operator would work in this case. Now we'll look at the limit operator. The limit operator is used to select a certain or specific number of records from your table. For example, in the employee table, let's say we want to select the first 5 records on the table. We'll use the limit operator. So what we have on display is just the first 5 records on the employee table, which is Oyedeji, Solomon, Justin, Wallace, and Asiat. Next, let us say we want to check the highest salary earner or the highest paid staff. We can also use the limit operator in addition with the order by operator to achieve this. So in that case, we would write a select statement, select asterisk from employee. from employee, order by salary. Remember, we want to check the highest earner or the highest paid worker here. Order by salary descending. Now, the descending clause, as I said earlier, will arrange the data sets in descending order according to or by the salary column, meaning that the highest paid workers will be on top of the table, while the lowest paid workers will be at the bottom of the table. So here I'm going to use the descending order and then limit 1. So this query here will give me the person with the highest paid salary. If I want to get the person with the lowest paid salary, I will change this ascending to, the descending will be changed to ascending, meaning that the lowest paid workers will come first, then the highest paid workers will be at the bottom of the table. So with this combination, you can easily find out who the highest paid worker is. The highest paid here receives the sum of 900,000 and the name is Walcott Mary. So we can use the limit operator with some other operators in SQL. Finally, in this module, we'll be looking at the alter table statements. So the alter table statement is used to add, to delete, or to modify columns in an existing table. That is, you can use the alter table statement to drop a column or to add a column to your table. It basically changes the structure of the table, unlike the update statement that only alters the records within the table. The alter table is used to change the structure of the table. So on this table, we are going to add a new column to the employee table. So we'll add a bonus column where we'll set the bonus as, let's say, 5% of the salary. 5% of the salary. So to do that, we are going to alter the table by adding a new column. Alter table employee. So we're adding a column. So we're adding a bonus. Next, we will specify the data type of the column. And we can also specify where we want the column to be on the table. So it's going to be after the salary column. So with this simple statement, a new column will be added to the employee table. Let's execute this. All right, so now we have a bonus column added to the employee table. Next thing we want to do, because presently the column is null, all the values there are null because we didn't insert any value into the column yet. So let us make the bonus column 5% of the salary. So the bonus will be 5% of salary. To do that, we are going to use the update table statement. So I'll say update employee set bonus equal salary times 0.05. So we are setting the bonus column to be 5% of the salary. All right, so I'm going to execute this and we'll go back and look at our employee table. All right, so now we have the bonus column populated with some data, and the data we have here now, as we can see, is 5% of the salary. So this is one way we can use the alter table statement. We can use it to add new columns to our table. We can also use it to delete columns from a table. So let us look at how we can use the alter table statement to delete a column. To do that, we will write the alter table statement followed by the table name. We are deleting the bonus column we just added to the table. So this time we use the drop statement. Drop column bonus. So with this, we can drop or delete a column from our table. Let's go back and select the table again to see if the bonus column has been deleted. Now the bonus column is gone. So this is how we can use the alter statement to delete a column from a table. We can also use the alter statement to modify a column. That is to change the data type of a column in a table. We can use the modify statement. If, for example, we have another data type here in the salary column, apart from integer, I can write an alter table statement to change the data type to integer. So I'm just going to write the statement, but I will not execute it because the data types on the table are appropriate. So I'm going to write the alter table employee, modify column. The name of the column and the data type I want to change it to. So for example, if I want to change the salary to integer, I'm just going to write a statement as simple as this. So alter table employee, instead of using drop or add or whatever, I'm going to use the modify statement here, modify column salary, and change it to the integer data type. So in this first module, we have been able to look at the basic statements in SQL. We have looked at how to create a table, how to request data from the table, how to filter the data using a where clause, and some other basic SQL statements. This module will be ending here. In the next module, we'll be looking at some queries that are a little more advanced than what we have looked at so far. Part of which will be the triggers, like I said earlier, privileges, constraints, subqueries, stored procedures, functions, views, and the rest of them. So thank you very much for watching this. I'll see you in the next module.